Hello everyone, welcome to my next video, Abu Ben Adhem by Leigh Hunt. Today I would like to thank and congratulate all of you who have subscribed to my channel because we have reached and crossed the 50 mark. Thank you once again, and I hope you will support One Stop All Poetry Solution in its future endeavors and help us reach the 100 mark soon. So I am extremely happy and I congratulate you and welcome you to the family of One Stop All Poetry Solution. Here you will get all the necessary materials and explanation that you are seeking all at one place without much distraction and without much effort. And you will be able to write just marvelous answers for your exam. So here today our primary topic that we are going to talk about is Abu Ben Adhem by Leigh Hunt. This is one of the poems that is there in your ICSE syllabus, and my primary aim is to explain this simple poem in a more simplistic format so that you do not face much difficulty in writing your answers. Alright, so let's start with the poem. This poem, first of all, I would like to tell something about it. This poem is based on the spirit of fraternity. It was first published in The Amulet in 1834 by S.C. Hall. The poem is Hunt's, that is, the poet Leigh Hunt's, rendering of a divine encounter between an angel and the Sufi mystic Ibrahim bin Adhem. And the primary aim was, the message was loving one's fellow men, which is perhaps more virtuous if not at par with loving the Almighty Himself. This profound reflection is conveyed by Leigh Hunt, and I don't know how much you are aware of Bengali, and this similarly while I'm teaching it rings a bell. The common or the popularly known words by Swami Vivekananda, Jibe prem kore jei jon shei jon shebiche ishwar, means one who takes care of his fellow human beings, one who loves his fellow human beings, that person is serving the Almighty, the God. These words were uttered, were spoken by Swami Vivekananda himself, isn't it? So these words are quite similar. This poem incidentally draws from the Arabian lore, wherein the Islamic month of Nu Sha'aban, Nousha, there's an apostrophe, ABAN. I'm not very confident with the pronunciation. I beg your pardon for that. If you know the actual pronunciation, please do it the same. So it is Nu Sha'aban. God takes the golden book of mankind and chooses those dear to Him as to who will be called in the next year, as to who will come to Him, to His abode, to the God, His or her, to the Almighty's abode in the next year, the following year. As you understand that the poem is about a blessed death, it is a fitting tribute that the verse, "Write me as one who loves his fellow men," came to be used in Hunt's epitaph. This is a perfect example. These words were written on Hunt's epitaph, and we see that these words, the feelings, the emotions are conveyed very clearly, very minutely here in these lines. The legend of Abu Ben Adhem was picked up by Hunt from a French book, the Bibliothèque Orientale, which was published in 1697. Hunt's choice of subject and setting, which as I already mentioned, which was the Arabian tale with idealistic, supernatural overtones, because here you will see the presence of an angel, then the dazzling light, which you will like is something that is renders it to be supernatural, is an example of romantic Orientalism. Against this backdrop, the otherworldly quality of the poem is enhanced. So if you think it to be in a different realm, if you read this poem in an altogether different realm, you will see that this is something that is marvelous, a marvelous creation of Leigh Hunt. Okay, so let's start with the poem. You will notice that the use of parenthesis, there is the use of parenthesis in the very first line itself. This indicates that it opens with the protagonist, and this is a blessing that everyone is everyone is praying for him. Abu Ben Adhem, may his tribe increase. So here the use of the phrase may his tribe increase anticipates the reward for the protagonist's noble feelings of the fellowship, for the fellow feelings that he had towards the other human beings. The use of the parenthesis, that is the brackets, indicates that this portion is not directly linked to the poem. Means whether his tribe or generation is increasing or not, to put it crudely, that is not our concern. It is about the character, the contribution that Abu Ben Adhem made. So, but this is a gesture that is used by the poet to declare that there is a man who is worth remembering, not only as a man himself who is born and dies simply, but also the generations that follows him, his generation, his lineage that are following him. So he is someone, and his lineage is something that everyone ought to remember. Okay, so let's start with the move on to the next lines. Awoke one night from deep dream of peace. So he was sleeping, and suddenly he awoke from his sleepful state. He was sleeping and he awoke, and this deep dream of peace signifies that he was sleeping freely. There was no anxiety, no guilt to take away his sleep. There was nothing to cause any amount or any thing of sleeplessness. Okay, and saw within the moonlight in his room, making it rich and like a lily in the bloom. So the moment of tranquility is heightened by the poet's use of the visual imagery, which is succeeded by a dazzling vision. So the moment he woke up from his sleep, all of a sudden there was a dazzling light. Dazzling like something that did not hurt his eyes, something that was pleasant. Yes, it surprised him, but it did not hurt him. It did not shock him. Surprise and shock, it has a mild difference, as you understand. He was surprised but not shocked. So now what did he do? Making it rich and like a lily in bloom. Okay, this line is important because the word lily itself symbolizes humility and devotion. That is very important, because we understand here that Abu Ben Adhem was innocent, good at heart, honest, just as a lily, as pure as a lily. This has come in literature to be used in a number of texts. Okay, an angel writing in a book of gold, that is what he is seeing. That there is an angel who is writing in a golden book. So this book of gold has three meanings. It is either made of gold, it is as precious as gold, or the pages are golden colored. But the second meaning is the most appropriate one, because that is something that is very important and worth remembering, because once we are talking about something heavenly, something godly, then we generally, the first metal, if you talk about in that sense, the first metal that comes to our mind is gold. Exceeding peace had made Ben Adhem bold. So he experienced extreme state of peacefulness, because there was nothing to worry about. He has done nothing wrong, so why will he worry about? Had made Ben Adhem bold. He was confident. Confident about what? Let's see. And to the presence in the room he said, "What writest thou?" The vision raised its head. So once he understood the presence of the angel, he uses some old archaic language. You should note here that you will realize later also, as we come to the end of this part, this page rather, to put it simply, that when he receives the answer of what he is writing and what it is all about, you will see that he is not at all dismayed to hear the not pleasurable or the unpleasurable revelation. When he is hearing the answer in negative, he is not at all dismayed. And particularly take note of the old archaic usage, old English usage, the archaic usage that the poet has very clearly made it stand out. It lends an air of grandeur, befitting an angel. So there is a clear difference between the Almighty and the commoners. The language that we speak in, the same language is not spoken by God or the one who belong to that realm. There's as if a different kind of aura about them, about that persona. There is a different thing altogether. So that is how he is trying to differentiate. So you will see that Hunt here is creating the effect, this dazzling effect, through the splendid visual imagery, means moonlight, and then the dazzling effect with the lily. Try throwing a very bright white light on an empty, means a blank sheet of paper, a white page. Try throwing it, you will see the dazzling effect. The same effect is here written also. And it has been compared to the simile of the lily, because lilies are symbolic of humility and devotion. Okay, if not simile, you can, yes, it is a simile, not a metaphor, right, like a lily in bloom. Yes, so this is a simile that has been used here, because these two traits are characterized, not it's very difficult to say characterize Abu Ben Adhem. He is an embodiment of these two characteristics, these two traits. So here you will see one thing that I would like to add on here is that I spoke already in the beginning about the Arabian influence that he had. Here he was very much influenced, I would like to add that he was very much influenced by the Islamic and the Judeo-Christian worldview, which writes about the Book of Gold, which on which it is inscribed the name, on which is inscribed the name of the people of love who had love for the Lord. Okay, so that is also another reference to this Book of Gold. So keep this in mind. There is also hinting at the Khidmat-e-Khalq. If you are aware and if you want to know more about it, please do a Google search. You will find lots of explanation and beautiful information about it. But if I go on talking about it, I'm afraid we might move away from the primary topic that we are talking about. So that is the main thing. These are the references and the allusions that you must keep it in mind. Okay, so as we were telling that what writest thou, the vision raised its head. So when the vision, that means the angel, heard Abu Ben's question, it raised its head, and with a look made of all sweet accord. So this angel was not very angry or disturbed. It had a sweet demeanor, a sweet face, and answered, the names of those who love the Lord. So I am writing down the names, and this book has the names of all those who care for the Lord, who love the Almighty. And is mine one? Said Abu. Nay, not so. So Abu's name is not mentioned. Abu is distressed, is it? No. I already told that he is not distressed, he is not dismayed. Probably he was surprised. Again, this element of surprise comes in. Probably he was surprised that his name is not there, but there is nothing to shock him or send him into a negative feeling that his name is not there. Okay, so he accepts it calmly, as we will see in the following lines. So that is how the angel replied. And once hearing the angel's reply, Abu spoke more low. It is not because he was feeling low, he was feeling depressed or distressed that his name is not there, probably his life is meaningless. No, it is not because of that. It is because out of respect, that after all, the angel is next to God. Out of respect, out of reverence, he speaks in a more respectful tone, but cheerily still, and said, I pray thee then, write me as the one that loves his fellow men. So he is requesting earnestly, and we understand that when he is requesting to the angel to include his name in the list whom the Lord will call the people to the Lord's residence, to the Lord's abode, to the heavenly abode, he is asking very calmly, in a very respectful manner, to include the names. So we understand that when he is requesting, it is not merely the lip service towards his fellow human beings. Remember, I told you just now about Khidmat-e-Khalq. It is, he is talking here about the service to mankind that is considered to be the most pious deed. And this line is a primary example, or the primary illustration that you can talk about, tell, or when you are writing about your answers, you can quote from these lines. Okay, this is a primary example which Abu Ben is talking about when he is talking about his rendering of service to his fellow human beings, to humanity. The angel wrote and vanished. So we don't know what the angel wrote and vanished. Okay, like vanished. This is a very funny example that is coming to my mind. You see in your the serials or the daily soaps where the lords make their presence, the lords and the goddesses make their presence, like ding ding dana ding dana dana dana, and then suddenly they vanish. They appear in the same way. The presence, there's lots of sound and dazzling light, blinding effect, and then it's like boom, they are gone. So that kind of an effect. Okay, now let's continue. The next night it came, the next night it came again with a great awakening light, and showed the names whom love of God had blessed. And lo, Ben Adhem's name led all the rest. So just look, probably God or the Almighty was testing Abu Ben Adhem, whether he is distressed, whether he has actually forgotten about the Lord, how he reacts. All these things are tested as a final for the final time. So the angel, we understand, wrote that writing was Abu's name. He wrote and he disappeared. So the following night he came again, the angel came again, and with again an illuminating light he made his presence. He showed the names whom love of God had blessed. So there were names which were shown to Abu, and the love of God, the blessings of God were showered on those people. And what does Ben see? He sees, like, it is an exhortation, as you see I have already mentioned here, and lo, this is an exhortation that the poet has used here, that Abu's name, Abu Ben Adhem's name, was the one that was at the top of the list. It led the rest of the name. Now it is very important that this message that Abu is talking about, it is a kind of a prescription, that's something that everyone should follow. All right, loving and caring for fellow human beings, that is the ultimate good that can be achieved in this life, in our existence. It is one's acknowledgement and appreciation of the humanity of the others, and not mere religiosity, which makes one valuable both in the eyes of God and mankind. You should not love or do politics on the basis of religion. The crisis that we are facing in the modern world. If you have to pray to God, if you have to love humanity, then do it genuinely, not for your some selfish needs. All right. Now I will conclude very soon, because there is not much complexity in the poem that I would like to confuse you or make you more confused or anything. I will now like to talk about the figures of speech, which is of primary importance that you ought to know. First is the assonance. It is the, you know what an assonance is, right? In the repetition of the vowel sounds in the same line. Like for example, making it rich and like a lily in bloom, and the sound of means in the sound of that O. Abu spoke more low. Abu, see, B-O-U-O, spoke, S-P-O, and more low, more M-O, and low, again L-O. Okay, then is consonants. Consonants, as you understand from the very word itself, it is the repetition of the consonant sound. For example, nay, not so. Okay, then again in the angel wrote and vanished, the next night. These are all consonant sounds, N coming together. Alliteration, this is the very a very interesting figure of speech that you will find more or less used in most of the poems. It is the repetition of the consonant sounds in the same line with quick succession. Means it has to be two and more than two. That is the difference, and that is the difference with consonants. Okay, like making it rich and like a lily in a bloom. See, like lily, bloom. Though it does not start with L, bloom does not start with L, but the L sound is there. Okay. Now, the enjambment. Enjambment I already spoke about in my earlier videos also. Enjambment is where you start with a line and then you have to pause. You pause and then move on to the next line, and the effect of that completion moves on to the next line along with it. Like Abu Ben Adhem, may his tribe increase. We think after reading this line, okay, fine, it's over. But no, the idea moves on to the next line. And what is the next line? Awoke one night from a deep dream of peace. Okay, that is the next line that is used here. Then is your imagery. It is used to make or visualize for us. It is used for us to visualize, like the visual imagery. Remember I told you the light dazzling. And the simile, like a lily, the best example, making it rich and like a lily in blue. Remember simile. Okay, now is symbolism. Symbolism is the use of the symbols. Okay, it is used to signify ideas and qualities by giving them the symbolic meanings, which is different from their real ones. Like here, you see the words angel, then there is light. What do they symbolize? They symbolize the spirituality. Okay, then lily symbolizes humility, devotion, honesty. So that is it. That brings us to the end of the poem and to the discussion. Hope you will enjoy the video very much and watch with similar enthusiasm and continue to support us. Please do like, share, subscribe, and spread the message to your friends who are so willing to learn, so that I can also reach out to them. For any confusion, please feel free to comment in the comment section. And there is another surprise waiting for you, because really it's like a gesture of gratitude that I would like to show to you people. You will see very soon. All right, and happy learning. Please do drop a like, share, and subscribe, because I'm not very good at all these repeating and telling it over and over again. It is just once in a while it just occurs to my mind and I tell, because I know you will do the same. Thank you for watching my video. Do stay tuned for further updates. Thank you once again.